Oh man, I hate Mondays.
Nah, man, it's Tuesday.
Wait. What day is it?
You know what day it is? Tuesday. Brewsday, Tuesday.
Oh, fuck yeah. Grab a cold one. It's Brewsday Tuesday. Here's DreZ and Big Nate.
It's little crackies. Not a cold one this Brewsday Tuesday, because yours truly, DreZ, is back from Scotland. I went to Scotland Yard.
That's where you went. I knew
I
you went
don't,
somewhere.
I don't exactly know what Scotland Yard is, but I'm guessing I probably didn't actually go there. Is that
No,
where?
I think Scotland Yard's in England. I think it's the
Oh,
where the
and yeah, something to
where
do
they're
with
like
like
equivalent to the FBI is.
I don't know. Either way, I didn't go to England. I went to Scotland.
Just way better.
BB's home country. Went to specifically her hometown of Aberdeen, stayed with her folks. We also did a little hop, skip, and jump here and there, and I'm sure I'll delve into that. But one of the things we did do, because actually BB was working like half days for the most part. So there was, and there's a 5 hour time difference. So her work day would start later in the afternoon, and she would kind of work the morning shift. So I'm like, well, what am I doing this afternoon? So more often than not, me and her dad, Hank, or Harley, as he's known in the hash, which we did do a couple hashes, Aberdeen hashes. I can talk to those in a bit, but we would go off and do our own little gallivanting, which tend to involve going to distilleries. So we went to, I think, four different distilleries.
Nice.
And the first trip out, we went to uh, Glenn Levitt was one of them. That's what I have in my hand, which was celebrating their 200th anniversary. So they had a number of 200th special, edition bottles of this and that. And that was the tasting that I did there. But this bottle actually was purchased from their the gift room or whatever. This is the Glenlivet triple cask matured single malt Scotch whiskey. This is the Distiller's Reserve coming in at 40% ABV. So this, funnily enough, out of all of their miniature bottles, all of the miniature bottles there were the same price. They were all 3.5 pounds. Now, the full size bottles were not the same price. So, believe it or not, this one, if you were to purchase
The
the
equivalent.
equivalent of the full size bottle using just the minis, I think because the full size bottle was like 82 pounds. And if you just bought the equivalent of these, just I think you bought, I don't remember how many, but essentially you could get the full size bottle for 49 pounds. So I don't know if somebody messed up on
Somebody's
the
got to figure
pricing,
that out.
but that worked out pretty well. So this one I actually have not tried. I bought it and I was saving it for the show. Yours,
I've got the Glenfiddich. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. I know somewhere your wife is judging me like
Glen,
she does with pronouncing our son's
that's
name.
Glenfiddich.
Glenfiddich.
Glenfiddich is how they pronounce that one.
Single malt Scotch. Their original 12, product of Scotland. It's a 40% ABV. And well, I'm very excited that there's Scotch today because I like Scotch, but also you said you weren't going to be bringing back a show, and here we are.
Well, yeah, and there might even be another show, maybe
Oh,
even kind of two coming up. We'll see. But yes, I was able to because we didn't check a bag, so I wasn't able to really bring back beer, unfortunately. But and then actually there's a longer story with that maybe I could have. But either way, I planned to and actually I didn't bring any liquids over there that weren't bourbon because we're planning to do the awesome bourbon versus scotch night again. So I actually brought seven different bourbons and little vials, and that was my all liquid allotment. So I
yeah.
had to send BB with my toothpaste and all that sort of stuff. And turns out, again, it didn't even matter. I could have gotten away with bringing whatever, but you got to be prepared. So Glenfiddich was the first distillery we went to. I believe that is the one that Hank picked because I think they're the only ones that bottle on location. I could be getting that wrong and getting it confused because we got there and the big sort of pond that's off of a little river or a is that what a glen is? Is that the little river? No, it's a oh crap. I knew I should have been taking notes.
Make it up.
A thing, whatever. And but it was empty. And there was like construction being done. Turns out production was shut down while we tried to go there. So we could have done the tour, but it's like, why would you do the tour when you can't
what I
really
want to
see
see.
the full thing? Yeah. So we went there and we quickly were like, yeah, let's go to Glenlivet, which was just up the road. So we went there and we asked about doing a tour there, and it was all booked up. So we just got a tasting and then went to somewhere else that I'll get to in a little bit.
All in all, silver linings. You still left with
We
Scotch.
ended up getting on a Scotch tour, and I will delve into that maybe in the next round when we drink that Scotch. But so when it comes to Scotch, are you a Scotch guy? I mean, do you know a little bit about
all of my experience? I feel like I've been spoiled. All of my experiences with Scotch have been around Kirsty. So
kind of similar to, bourbon and whatever. Yeah, if you want to do a little swift. One thing that when I was at Glenlivet, and this wasn't from one of their people, just another person in the tasting room, just kind of mentioned it to us as we were sniffing. He suggested that to really be able to smell, it helps if you close one nostril when you're smelling it. Now, A, I think that looks stupid, and B, it didn't really make a difference for me.
I don't even know if both of my nostrils work. That's what we're
try
going
it.
to find out here.
You could try it. What I was kind of doing was just sort of hovering, so it's more like you just have one over it and one off of it. But
both the nostrils still working.
this does have a nice little nose to it. A
Smells
nice little
beautiful.
nose to it.
I got to tell you my nostril story.
Go for it.
So, while you were gone, it was, I think, the Saturday after you had just left. It's like 3 a.m, taking care of a diaper situation.
Always a diaper situation.
And I went down to, go to the trash can that's not near our bedroom, so I didn't have to smell it all night, could take it out in the morning. Didn't have my contacts in. And there's a corner in our house. It's one of those reinforced corners with the steel plate in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was turning, and my depth perception, my vision's terrible. So I was turning, and I completely caught the bridge of my nose. So like I had a black eye for like an entire week. I had actually like broken skin here, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it's 3 a.m. Cindy's asleep. I'm gonna pass out on the floor here, and she's just gonna wake up and find me with like a broken nose. Luckily, like I did a check and nothing was broken. It just was real tender, and I had a black eye for a week, but hadn't really tested that nostril yet until now.
I leave for just a couple weeks, and man, not only does this place, but
Things go
you
to
start
hell.
falling apart as well. That's something. But so I'm just checking my notes a little bit. I was gone for a couple weeks, so I have a whole lot I'm not even going to get to cover. But one of the things that we did while we were there was first things first, got scooped up from the airport with BB picked me up, and then we immediately went to Stirling, Scotland, because her mom's side of the family was basically having like a family reunion kind of thing. They rented this huge house. I think it had like 9 bedrooms or something, 5 baths in Stirling. And it was an old school house. So like our bedroom had a sink in it. Like a lot of the big bedrooms upstairs had their own sinks. It had like, the servants' quarter, or servants' quarter with a separate staircase going up and everything. And
the movie.
You could definitely have some murders in this house. Let's just put it that way. Thankfully, that didn't happen. But a lot of fun games. We did a lot of that, which was great. Finally got to meet her aunt and uncle for the first time that came in for Canada. And the big thing that was also happening while I was in Scotland, and actually still is, was the Euro Cup. So Scotland was playing their final game of the first round of the Euro Cup that Sunday night. So the plan was for mainly the younger crowd and good old Uncle Alan that loves a good pub and football. We went down to the bigger kind of sports pub and no, they don't call it downtown. They call it, is it City Center? Town Center, City Center?
Common.
They call it something instead of downtown. It kind of, they have different words for stuff. But either way, we go down there to watch the game in like a big, atmosphere. So we get down there and it's packed. They have like a guy with bagpipes come out and do the national anthem like inside the pub, which was awesome. And as soon as we went in, they gave us wristbands and they're like, if Scotland wins, keep your wristband, you get a free drink
Nice.
after the game. So it's just like, all right, as if we're not cheering for Scotland. I got this Scotland Euro jersey, pick that up.
How
So
comfortable is that
it's
jersey?
pretty nice. This is like a
glorious.
go-to. This is gonna be a go-to like
I've been
running shirt.
resisting the urge to just like feel the fabric all day.
It worked out pretty good. So here's the thing. I actually got this jersey day of for half price because at this stage in the tournament, it was the last game of the first round, and you have 4 teams in your kind of category. Everybody plays each other, and then usually it's 2, maybe 3 from that category will move forward. So it was do or die. Scotland had to win to go forward. If they tied, they maybe, if they had a lot of luck, would go forward. And they were playing Hungary. So we're at the pub, obviously just getting rounds and rounds and just watching this football match. And it's apparently a pretty typical Scotland match and experience. They seem to be, and rightfully so, they should have been playing better than Hungary. And they were. It was mainly them on the offense pretty much the whole time. And then it was scoreless in the first half, pretty much scoreless the entire second half. So I think with about 10 or 15 minutes to go, they pull out some defenders and start playing more offensive to just really try and make it happen. And then, there's 90 minutes of play, and then whatever stoppage time, they add on a few minutes. I think in this case, they added like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that. So they're going for it. And then literally the last minute of the game, the ball gets behind them and Hungary scores with 17 seconds maybe to go.
In soccer, there's no way. I mean, you've already made it 60 minutes and no score.
That was it. So it was, and apparently this is pretty standard. Scotland's not great at their sports. So everybody said, I got the true experience of watching a Scotland football match, because it usually ends in disappointment like that.
That's one of those weird, like, fantasies I have. I don't particularly care about soccer. Like, I understand the rules. I know how it works. I've been to a few MLS games, but I've always wanted to go into like a proper sports pub and watch, because I know it's like, particularly if you're winning, it goes absolutely bonkers.
That's what sucked, was I never got to be there for a goal. Because I remember when I was studying abroad in London, I was like 19 or 20, and watched I think it was Liverpool and Manchester United. I can't remember the matchup, but being at the pub for that, and it got so loud whenever a goal was scored. It was just really exciting and fun. And unfortunately, we never got the goal, so that didn't happen.
And that's one of those, like, I wish there was something that happened here. I mean, you can go to a sports bar and you can watch a game, but the problem is there's so many games going on at once that like nobody's ever unified. Whereas if you go to like a proper pub, I feel like we're all like, this is one thing, this is one sport.
And it's different because anytime when you think about going to a game to watch, I think pro football, because usually if it's a tech game, I'm there.
Yeah,
I'm here. But I guess it could be maybe you could see that similarly if you're in a football town, college town, and it's a bowl game or something. You're not going to the game. Everybody's there going to be rooting for them. But not like this, where the entire thing is packed and everybody in there is pulling for Scotland, And nobody's going to be like,
Hungry
go Hungry. There was a couple of people that asked to switch one of the TVs to the Germany matchup, because I guess they must have been Germany supporters or whatever. Yeah, or something. But so yeah, that was disappointing. But what was weird was, so they're 5 hours ahead, and this was right around like the summer solstice. So just because of geographically where they are, it was bright so much later. So the game was over, and we walk out of the pub at like 10:30 at night, and it looks like it's, maybe 6 o'clock in the evening. It's still quite bright out, which was just a weird trip, having to get used to that with it being so much brighter. And the sun came up at like 3:30 in the morning or whatever. It was like long days.
Wild.
Yeah.
Those are long days. That's what I need. We have a family friend who lives out in Seattle, and He's a big Manchester United fan, so of course the time zone difference between Seattle and Manchester is massive.
Mm-hmm.
But he found a pub in Seattle that like opens up specifically for the game. So he's like, he'll go in there. He works in the brewing industry, so it's okay for him to be like drunk at work to a certain degree. Um, but he'll go in at like 8:30 in the morning to watch a game at the pub, like completely just have a very solid buzz, and then like go into work, and that's like the rest of his day. And
Yeah.
I can't imagine, like, that's dedication.
No doubt, no doubt. So after that, it was disappointing that Scotland was out because I was hoping I'd get to go to another one of those. But BB's dad is actually from Holland. So then it's like, okay, well now we're cheering for the Netherlands, and they had a couple great games, and they are actually still in it. So it's the semifinals. I think today is Spain and is it Germany or something? I don't know, but that actually might have already played because it's so far later there. In fact, that game's probably over. But tomorrow, it's Holland and England. So basically, obviously, Hank's pulling for Holland, and so is that household. But everybody in Scotland is going to be pulling for Holland for that one. So
Let's go Holland.
it'll be interesting to see how that one fares. And I'm probably going to watch it. I'm not going to lie. I'm fairly invested. I watched a lot of football. I'm saying it as they would, of course. It's soccer, but while I was over there, and it was kind of fun.
It's a fun.
I can see the appeal of it because it is longer, it is drawn out, but at any point, something could happen. So, and there's no commercials. You're just watching it full on, and which is kind of nice. So, oh, by the way, I'm drinking. I also got these little droppers for the whiskey bourbon thing because sometimes it's nice to do a little splash. So I don't know if you've tried yours, and if you want to, you always got to try it neat first. But then if you want to add a drop or two or more, that's fine. Right. Usually you do that if it's a bit much. Hank tend to do that for all of the bourbons that I brought because it's sometimes it's a bit more. But
supposedly
because I like the cask strength. Like the next round, I have a cask strength of whiskey, so you might want the water for that one. But these ones, you really don't need it.
No,
I would say so I put a couple drops in just to try it as is. But yeah, let's go ahead and untap these actually. By the way, so it's Scotch. It's not going to be on Untapped, but we'll still give it with the same rating scale. You can say what you think. You can smell it. You can do all that. The color, blah blah blah. But it's just nice drinking some Scotch.
The thing I like about Scotch that we don't really, at least in my opinion, have with bourbons, and don't get me wrong, bourbon all time, hands down my favorite liquor. I feel like Scotch is very like you go from Scotch to Scotch to Scotch. There's a lot going on. Like this is very floral. It smells so damn good, but it like you can tell it definitely came from the earth. And I mean it goes down real easy. I've not had, well, that's not true. I have had a bad Scotch. I don't even believe it was really Scotch. Bottom shelf. Long story. I can tell that another time, but this is a 5. This is delicious.
I'm trying to remember which one that is.
That's the Glenfiddich. That's the 12.
12 year. I actually did not have that because when we went to Glenfiddich, we didn't do any tastings or anything. So I may have had it previously at some point, but that one I have not had.
Do they mix their Scotch with anything?
Glenfiddich?
Anyone in Scotland.
What do you mean? Oh, like for like
mixers.
A cocktail or anything?
Because
like
my brother-in-law, we were together recently, and this bottom shelf Scotch I was talking
ginger
about,
beer
made it better. No, Coca-Cola.
Just Coke and Scotch.
Yeah, which I feel like should be illegal.
I don't know. I can't think of anything. I don't remember seeing any like really. And by the way, we keep saying Scotch, but over there they don't call it that. They just call it whiskey because
call it here.
It's it's their version of whiskey, so they just call it whiskey. But yeah, I can't think of anything. All the distillers I went to, when you're getting it, you're just getting it neat, or you can ask for a rock, or usually they do bring you a little water with the eyedropper.
I was just curious because I mean here it's so commonplace. I was wondering if because that's what they've got readily available if they're like mixing it with.
Yeah. Well, if I wasn't,
I could see ginger being good.
Ginger beer, maybe. If I wasn't at a distillery, which I'm just drinking it straight, obviously, I was always looking for the beers because
Yeah.
I wanted to untap and drink as many beers as I could over there. So that's that. Well, this round, that's a good round of Scotch. We'll play a song. We'll come back. We'll drink some more Scotch, and I'll tell you about maybe those distilleries and what other shenanigans I might have gotten into. There's a whole lot happening over there in Scotland. So we'll be back with more Brewsday Tuesday, a Booze Day Tuesday edition right here on 105.3 The Bear. Stick around.